Greetings, everyone. This is Kaiser here, staying in the light society. We're going to talk about trade wars. That's what's happening today. They call it tariff. They call it many things, but really it's a trade war. Trade war usually can lead to outright physical war, with tanks and weapons of that sort. But the trade war is going on now. And the reason why you have trade wars is because fear of losing dominance. Now, let's talk about our community, family. We as a people was ruling the South, whether you know that or not, and we was becoming very prosperous, more than the North. We was winning the trade war in exports overseas. We was very prosperous, more than the North. That's why they went to war against us. They call it a civil war. They're not. Everything is whitewashed like a Tom Sawyer. They did a Tom Sawyer on us. You know Tom Sawyer, right? He had the job of painting the fence, and he didn't want to do it. A lot of work. So he made it appealing, so appealing that the other boys in the community would pay him to do it. Pay him to do his work. That's what Americans do. They Tom Sawyer the world. So what happened to us? We started losing power, dominance because of the trade wars of the Civil War. But because you can't keep a good man down, they had after the war you had this called what do you call it? uh, re when you're rebuilding after the war. I can't think of the term right now. That also shows us as prospering. So decide to cut that out. In other words, the same thing is happening around the world today. America is losing dominance. And when you lose dominance against somebody, you go to war. First war usually is a trade war. It's a war of words first, then it's a trade war, then it's a physical war. If you lose a trade war, you go to a physical war. Tanks and guns and airplanes. That's because of fear of losing dominance. Now, that didn't stop us because we arose again 50 years later. In the 1920s, we began to raise our communities of ground America up using our markets. We call the policy, and you've seen it in the movies, they call playing the numbers. Now they call it investments. But we played the numbers because when you have the numbers system, when you play the numbers, that's something you do as a community. So everybody wins. You win, you have your own community. This only works if you have your own community. If you win, the community wins. That's why that had to be stamped out. That was made illegal then, but it's legal now. They call it lottery. So I'm just painting you a picture of what happened. Because anytime we get so prosperous, there's always a trade war against us as a communities, which was 100 years ago. Now there's no need for that because we have lost our communities. We are trading with the enemy. There's no trade that we have to barter with that we produce. We're not producing anymore. So we're not even, you're not even part of any consideration because you sold out your communities, you sold out your bargaining chips. You have nothing to bargain with. So that's why staying in the light society is about getting our community back. Start producing so you can have a seat at the table. So that's what's happening in the world right now. Any country that start being dominant, they're a threat. Isn't that something? Think about that now. Your success is a threat. Why? Because I'm not top dog anymore. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. You rather dominate or die. We understand why Europeans have that concept because once being enslaved people, they're determined not to be that again. So the only way they can ensure they'll never be enslaved again is to always keep themselves on top. This is the psychology that they're operating from. The Slavic come from Europe, and they determined they would never be in that position again. So the only solution for them is dominance, not to return to slavery. Well, think about it and rewind and listen again and again, and I think you'll get the point. Thank you for listening.